Hi everybody, welcome back to Bobby's Bucks, and today we're out in our food plot. Today we're going to show you a bunch of different food plots, and over the years we've adopted several different systems, tried lots of different things, and we'll show you, we'll share with you what we arrived at. And you know, we have two food plots that we love to start in the spring, and that's buckwheat and oats. Now we'll switch those every year, and we'll get into that why. But this food plot's very special. It's about 15 feet, maybe 20 feet at some point, and then maybe it's 90 to 100 feet long. Now, we're right underneath a weeping willow. We actually make tree hay and cut this. This is a fodder tree for us, and we feed our rabbits with that. If you guys are interested in raising rabbits, be sure to check out the rabbitrycenter.com or the Rabbitry Center YouTube channel, where we show everyone how to run a rabbitry business out of their own backyard. But this right here is a lot of our rabbit food. So it's oats and red clovers, and it's even some common vetch, and we've thrown in some turnips and radishes. But there's also chicory in this food plot. There's alfalfa. A lot of good stuff in this food plot. And you know, we still like to overseed it with winter wheat, you know, in the wintertime, because what we're doing is we're benefiting from deer hunting as well. Our rabbit meat is a white meat, and then our venison is a tasty, all-natural red meat. So this is a fun food plot. This is kind of a mixture of things over the years. It really draws them in. So right now we're underneath one of our granny apple trees, and apple trees on top of food plots are an absolute die-hard combination. And we run bees at this property. So we have an apiary, an orchard, we have a rabbitry. The rabbits eat the branches, we eat the apples, the deer eat the apples, the bees, they pollinate the trees, they take the pollen. Everyone's benefiting. So apple trees, pear trees, they're gonna have lots of blossoms. And we tried other plants, we've tried other trees. We tried to grow chestnut trees. It didn't work out here in Bath, Michigan. So we recommend apple trees and pear trees. And really, you know, they say apple trees and pear trees take a lot of maintenance for them to be successful. You know, some light pruning and some dormant oil spray, some fertilizer, some insect repellent like Tangle Trap. You know, that's it. I mean, really, that seems like a lot, but really it's a couple times a year that you have to do a few things with these apple trees. And you can see how they'll just produce lots and lots of apples for you. This is only one tree, and these deer come out and hit these really hard. So say you're small scale farming, and like us, we have a rabbitry, and you know, we have about 12 cages running at all times. And when we have a food plot like this, you know, all spring, summer, and fall, we can cut this clover, and that's food. We can actually dry this out, make hay out of it. And you know, if we plant oats, it's the same thing. We have oats, we have clover, and once September 1st hits, we'll overseed it with winter wheat. We won't plant, we won't drill, we won't any of that. We'll just simply hand sow it, or just use a hand spreader and walk these food plots. It's generally, here in Michigan, it's about 6 weeks before our frost. And what happens is, just by blanketing the area, you're filling in all the bare spots, and the clover is going to die back. It's not going to produce anymore, but the winter wheat will take over. All of a sudden you'll have this lush, it'll look like a grass bed. And that winter wheat will grow all the way down to temperatures even into the upper 30s. So if you want a simple system, be sure to just try your oats and your winter wheat and your clover. You know, coming in there about September 1st here in Michigan, and we blanket it with winter wheat and a little bit of clover. Now the clover's not going to do much. It's not going to establish this winter, fall, or anything. So it's going to be the following spring when you start mowing and cutting it back. If you were to leave it alone, the winter wheat would get so tall, it would get out of control. Now you could always just let it go too and then crimp it, or you can just simply mow and have the clover established. The clover will fill in all the area, and again, you can just terminate it too and just decide if you want to do something else, but that clover will establish. And what's cool about clover is it lasts about 5 to 10 years. So this is an inexpensive system when it comes to winter wheat, even oats. And this, you know, clover is really the only expensive thing, and it's a very small seed, and you really can plant your clover, you know, right around anywhere from 5 to 8 pounds, you know, per acre. So it doesn't take a lot. And then your winter wheat is right around 100 pounds per acre. So right around August 15th, we'll plant our oats, peas, and beans into our buckwheat. And on the oats side, we're gonna wait a little longer, maybe even September 1st, and we're gonna overseed winter wheat and some clover, some red clover or white clover. We don't have to though, but maybe we'll throw some in, we got some extra. Now that clover is not gonna work until the following spring once we cut that and mow that. That's why it's so important to get out and cover these areas around these trees where these deer have been moving around these trees, getting up and eating these branches, eating these apples and pears, and you're going to be able to fill those blank areas in with a winter crop like oats or winter wheat. 75 degrees right now. I'm burning up. Okay, there we go. So much stuff to get stuck on. All right, we got it. We just pulled that up 20 feet. Okay, let's do some cutting. We're a good 20 feet in the air. It's more like 25, but it's good to be this high because they're not gonna smell you. For one, they're not gonna see you. You're up here, like I'm up here with these branches. I mean, this is perfect. So they look up here, they just see more tree. I don't have an extra rope, but this is my 100-foot rope for cutting trees down. An excellent tool to have. All right, watch out for the poison ivy. And whenever you're hunting with tree stands or any even kind of a ladder stand that ties onto the tree, it's so important to make sure you're checking your ratchet straps. Ratchet straps have a lifetime. And you know, the life expectancy to make sure that they're incredibly strong is pretty much 3 years. Every 3 years you got to change these straps. Now folks, they try to prolong these ratchet straps, and really you can get 4 straps for about 20 bucks anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's TSC or a sporting goods store or even on Amazon. You can get these ratchet straps replaced. And the tree behind us, we went ahead and changed all these straps out this year because when we came out, I think we waited a little too long because the tree ladder was completely off the tree. And you can see these straps fraying, you can see bacteria growing on these straps, moss, and that's a great indicator it's time to replace these straps. Every few years you should religiously change these because whenever you're standing on a tree stand and it's tied on, the force that it's putting on that strap, eventually these fibers and these straps are breaking down and they'll fail. I was just at work the other day and my buddy was telling me about how his neighbor fell out of his tree stand. He stood on it for about 2-3 seconds, didn't even have time to tether onto the tree trunk, and it snapped and he fell 20 feet and broke his pelvis. That was something that, for one, it takes a long time to come back from that, to rehabilitate your body, if ever, and two, it can be avoided. So, sorry, I got a cicada bug behind me. But just wanted to share that, you guys. Be sure to get out there. Don't wait until opening morning to go out there and say, you know what, I'll change the straps on the way out. I don't want to make a bunch of noise. If anything, hunt those stands, go in there for an afternoon hunt quietly so you can see, quietly take those straps out, change them out, and then hunt your evening stand. Or better yet, go in there 20 to 30 days before the season. If it's public land, you have to wait until 30 days prior to the season, but if you got public land, you can get out there and change all your straps and just have peace of mind that you're going to hunt safe, because I know that you have friends and loved ones waiting for you, and they want to see you around. So thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments about this video, please leave them down below. I'll get back to everybody. Best of luck preparing for your season this year. Hope you guys shoot a deer that you're proud of. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video.